I love The Marsh King's Daughter. My goodness gracious. It made Ben Mendelsohn made my skin crawl in the role of Jacob. What drew you to adapt the novel The Marsh King's Daughter into a film? And how did you approach the challenges of bringing such a complex story to life?
Well, the Marsh King's Daughter is based on a best-selling book, and then it was adapted actually into a screenplay by Mark Smith, who wrote The Revenant, and Elle Smith, his daughter, which is great because it's a father-daughter story adapted by a father and daughter. So it came to me, and I had been looking to make a movie that was set in nature, where the wilderness and the natural world was kind of like almost would be a character in the movie. And then suddenly there it was on the page. So at first we thought, it would be very easy to shoot a movie in the wilderness during COVID, being outside and fresh air and all that. And maybe it was more easier, but it was really challenging to get everybody to find the pristine wilderness that felt primal and mysterious and untouched. To find that took some doing and took some traveling. And so we were shooting in really remote places, and to organize that and get the equipment there and get everybody there and support them while they were there, while not sort of spoiling the natural environment, was hard and took a lot of doing. And it was grueling, but I think ultimately successful.
Absolutely. I mean, The Marsh King's Daughter takes place in this remote, beautiful, natural setting, which Northern Canada couldn't have been a better choice. How did you use that environment to enhance the storytelling? And can you talk to me about some of the challenges of shooting on that location? Because it couldn't have been easy getting that equipment from the marshland to everywhere else in that type of terrain.
Yeah, well, so we would have days where we were shooting in one place. One of the most remote places was on a First Nations reservation, the Doquis Reserve, up in kind of about 4 hours north of Toronto. And they were very generous to let us shoot there, and we're very thankful to that. But the only way we could get there was to go, we drive an hour across the reserve, then come to a boat landing, then be in a boat for another hour going down a river and across these lakes, get to a place, then hike for about 35 minutes into where we were shooting. It's, really, time consuming and grueling. And then to get our equipment there, the only way we could get our equipment was to helicopter it in. And so we'd have this helicopter with dangling a cargo net filled with our equipment. And the only sort of clear place to put it down was kind of right on the bank of a river. It was insane, but, it tested all of us, but I think was ultimately worth it.
You'd assume you were filming an episode of Lost or something.
I know. I think an episode of Lost, they probably were right near a resort or something like that. We made it. It was difficult, but I think it was the only way to get this kind of landscape. So
sure, yeah, which really pays off in the film because it's so gorgeous and beautiful. Now, this film explores themes of identity and captivity. How did you work with Daisy Ridley and Ben Mendelsohn to convey that emotional depth of these for their character experiences?
Yeah, well, it does. It's very much about, in a certain way, it's very much about families and about parenting and where we come from and how that imprints on us. And are we then stuck with that legacy, or can we change? Can we free ourselves from, in this case, the traumas of the past and become our true self? And so that's a theme that's very interesting to me. And so obviously for Daisy, she's playing somebody, she's a woman with a secret who has actually taken what's happened to her in the past and sort of put it in a box and buried it and just pretended, had never told her husband what happened or anything like that. And so Daisy has such kind of a restraint, has a mystery to her, which is perfect for a character that's keeping a secret, and also a restraint and a subtlety in her performance. And yet in her eyes, you can see all the pain, all the emotional history, in her life. So it was just, we worked on that. We talked about that. And then Ben's different. Ben is a very powerful guy who is, he's playing her father, who is in a sense like to her and to himself, he's like a god of his own world, And Ben has that kind of power. And Ben's like a caged animal in a way who has this sort of ferocity within. Of course, off screen, he's teddy bear. He's a gentle, nice guy, but he can bring this power to bear. And he needed to be actually very likable, lovable, because the movie's from her point of view, especially as a little girl, and she is devoted to him. And so I want the audience to be devoted to him and compelled by him as well.
Oh, absolutely. In the beginning, where they have that emotional beat where she's being pulled onto the ATV, my heart broke for her. But then the more you find out about Ben's Jacob, the more terrifying he becomes. Now, The Marsh King's Daughter has elements of psychological thriller and family drama. Can you talk about balancing those different genres?
Well, I like nothing if not being in different genres. You can see by my movies, I've done all sorts of things. And in a way, all of them have kind of mixes within their genre. In this case, you're right. It's like it's a really intense kind of wild ride of a thriller, but it has very powerful ideas about character and about people and has a very powerful emotional journey to it. It's very much about these people and the depths of their experience. And so that was as important to me. And I think what's really important in a good thriller is that you want to care about the people. And the more you care about the people, the more you're going to be, feel the suspense and feel the fear and the terror and the anxiety.
Absolutely. Now, last question I have for you real quick. I know that we're in the Halloween season, and I was doing a little bit of research, and I know way back when you wanted to revive The Bride of Frankenstein. Is there any updates on that at all?
No, I don't know what they're doing with that. That was a long time ago. I wrote a screenplay for Universal,
right?
A take on it, which was good and that they liked, but I think they're not, they may be doing something else now. I think they might be, but they went around in a lot of different directions about how they wanted to use that, their dark universe, all those old movies. And did they want to update them? Did they want to do them as old? Do they want to do them period? What did they want to do with them? Did they want to change regender them or whatever it is? And so I think, unfortunately, that particular one is, I have the script somewhere.
Well, I'd love to read it someday, but look, this film is phenomenal. Like I said, Ben Mendelsohn's role as Jacob had my skin crawling. Amazing job, Neil. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.